In the Old Testament, people who are given special jobs by God often had a cool birth story. Think Abraham and Sarah as they waited into their elderly years before they conceived and had their son Isaac. Moses cheated death as a baby when his mom put their infant into a homemade boat, pushed him out to Pharaoh's daughter to find him in the reeds. Strongman Samson was born after his parents received a vision from the angel of the Lord. Yeah, story after story in the Bible where special people have special birth narratives. John the Baptist and Jesus, no exceptions. But the one that I want to draw your attention to today is Samuel. His poor mom was a second wife. No, not in a remarriage. She literally was the second wife in the same house as the first wife. And while that does not sound ideal at all, her plight was only made worse by the first wife who was parading her children around and making fun of Hannah, who was unable to have any children of her own. But finally, the Lord had mercy on Hannah and she became pregnant, and she was so thankful that she decided to give the boy over to full-time service in God's tabernacle. Yeah, there's a lot of backstory here, but like so many other amazing birth stories, Samuel was used in an amazing way by God. We have 2 whole books in the Old Testament dedicated to his life and times of 1st and 2nd Samuel. Although, to be fair, the original language of Hebrew only has 1 book, just Samuel. Now, in 1 Samuel chapter 7, there is a very interesting story of how Samuel was first used by God to turn the hearts of the people back to the Lord in faith and obedience. It's worth your time to go and read it this week, but I will give you a taste of it right now. The people have been ruled by a mishmash of warlords called the Judges, and they were not known for their piety or reforms. Think of Samson, who was neither pious or moral, yet God used him to rescue the people from their enemies. But with the advent of Samuel, something different was on the horizon. Samuel was faithful and pious and was a real leader of the people who would call them back to the Lord. Under his leadership, they threw away their idols and vowed to be faithful to God. And in 1 Samuel 7, there is a really cool story of the people. They're surrounded on a mountain. A vast horde of the Philistine army is ready to attack them. That they're going to be slaughtered. In their desperation, guess what they did? They prayed to God. Here's a taste of the story. When the Philistines heard that Israel had assembled at Mizpah, the rulers of the Philistines came up to attack them. When the Israelites heard of it, they were afraid because of the Philistines. And they said to Samuel, "Do not stop crying out to the Lord our God for us, that he may rescue us from the hand of the Philistines." And Samuel cried out to the Lord, and on Israel's behalf, and the Lord answered him. And here's what God did next. The Philistines drew near to engage Israel in battle. But that day the Lord thundered with loud thunder against the Philistines and threw them into such a panic that they were routed before the Israelites. Yeah, pretty powerful thunder. Then Samuel, he took a stone and set it up between Mizpah and Shin. He named it Ebenezer, saying, "Thus far the Lord has helped us." When we sing the hymn, "Come thou fount of every blessing," we sing of this stone. "Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I've come." And we remember how God has taken such good care of us as well. The history of the Old Testament began to change with Samuel. God would use him to unite the people, call them back to faithfulness. Samuel would be the one to anoint their first kings and set in motion the one who would come as their ultimate king, about 1,000 years later, with the entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem on a donkey. And his kingdom, the kingdom of Jesus, would have no end, for he has risen from the dead Easter morning. And you and I are also part of his kingdom. And though we are surrounded by the enemy now, and death will take us one day, we are not lost. And so here we raise our Ebenezer. Oh, our stone of remembrance is the stone that was rolled away from the tomb of Jesus.